Good evening, everybody. Did anyone get a chance to try the meditation that we did last week, during the week?
Yeah.
How did you find it?
It was good. I tried to just do it on my own. I was wanting to listen to you do it again, but I did it on my own. It was good.
Yeah.
Lots of, racing thoughts, but it was different from sitting and because lying down. But it was good.
Yeah. And you could also do it lying down at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it sitting.
Yeah, no, I did it lying down at home.
Oh, you did it?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was good. I actually got two at home.
Oh, good.
So that was good. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get any sense of how we label things, like how we have a mental picture about
Oh yeah.
things? Yeah. It's very powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just ongoing.
Yeah.
It's really ongoing. So it was. Yeah, it's just constant. So, like I had a couple of moments where it was just, okay, let it go, but not for long, because then they just, the labeling is always there. So,
Yeah. Anyone else have a crack at the meditation, or Marcus wasn't there?
I was at Dee Dee's Metta workshop.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I tried to do.
That's always a blessing. Dee Dee's always a blessing. Yeah. Yeah, the practice of, because it's not like we're ever gonna not be throwing a mental image out there. It's not that the mental image is stop, right? It's not that you're going to stop having like a conceptual overlay of your reality. It's what's important is just to realize that you are doing that. That's a very, very powerful position to start to be in, is to get that clear experience that is what's happening in your life, right? And that's why one of the reasons why these kinds of meditations that we're doing are so powerful, and they make it so accessible, because it's undeniable. You actually get to have something that you're working with that's a direct experience, and it's a nice little ring, and we can work with that, So we're gonna, before too long, we'll get into what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same meditation as last week, as like a little kicker, and then we'll do another one tonight, and if you're doing these meditations, and you could have, like, maybe, let's just say, if you had a chance to do them once a day or something between now and like next Wednesday or whatever, it's okay to like listen to the audio of me, say, maybe twice or once, like in between, just to get your mind directed back so that you remember. But the reason why that you don't really want to be using my recording is that you really want to explore it on your own, like because your mind will have to have a conceptual overlay, because my mind is like saying, or my voice is directing, right? So then there's just going to be a series of pictures that are going to go along with that, and because these kinds of meditations, as you get good at them, what's really key and important is that you'll then be able to distinguish between the feeling that you're having and the story that you're putting onto it. And a lot of times we will be in a situation in life, and the situation will give us, quote unquote, give us a feeling or certain physical sensation. And then because of that, we don't understand that we're all continuously overlaying the kind of bare experience with a story, then we can make the mistake of thinking that there's an outside influence that's actually directly causing the picture, right? Because you can have a quote unquote outside force, you could say, like that would give you that experience, but your reaction to it is where all your power lies. Right? How you consider what's happening, what you and how you should think about it, right? Like if you get very good at it, like one of the practices of the higher teachings, of like the tantric teachings, the higher teachings, is simply being very, very with the experience of reality. And getting very good at recognizing, okay, this is my prana, right? This is my prana moving. This is a certain energy, this is a certain wind moving through my body. And it feels this way. And then you're going, okay, but I'm labeling it as fear, or I'm labeling it as something negative, or I'm labeling it as something that I wish was over. Or you're taking that feeling and turning it inward upon yourself and thinking, well, you know, this is what I am. This is what I am. And instead of observing it and recognizing for what it's for, and hopefully we can get to the point where we recognize that we can't really help it. We're forced into feeling the way we do about them in a way. Well, not in a way, we are. And that there's something that we can do to change that. We can behave in the world in a way that will echo something back, so that you could have the same physical sensation and have a very different mental experience of it. Because you're not going to stop having a mental experience of it, right? As your consciousness rises in vibration, as your love increases, you're still having the same physical sensations, but your mental experience of it is very, very different. When you become a totally enlightened being, for instance, you're still having a mental experience of your physical sensations, but it's very pleasant. So one of the areas that we're going to be moving into this class is we're going to start talking about impermanence, right? And investigating our feelings, investigating what's happening that we can recognize, and asking ourselves these questions about these things, right, that are right there. Is this thing a changing thing, right? Is it impermanent, or is it permanent? Is it happiness, or is it is there dissatisfaction here? Is there something about this that is unsatisfying? And the other thing we talked about last time was, does this prove a self? Does there need to be a self, the way that I think of a self? Present, does that need to be there to experience this? And these sequence of meditations are very, very, you could say, functional in a way that will help you deconstruct the self that you think you are, because the self that you think you are is the one that's getting you in all the trouble. Right? And if you can get this feeling that it's impermanent, like we don't, like if we can embrace the fact that things are impermanent, then we'll be a lot more relaxed. Right? We wouldn't go into things hoping that they would stay. Like I remember, do you guys when you were kids ever have Light Bright?
Sounds familiar.
Light Bright?
Yeah.
Right, well, Light Bright was this amazing toy, right? And the basic premise was, you could say there was a box with, I mean, really simple invention. A box with a light bulb inside it. That was, and all he really did was you put a black piece of paper that stopped the light from coming out. And there was a bunch of little holes that you could put pegs in. And the pegs were like colored plastic, right? So when you poke the black, the light would light up the peg. So you could have these colorful designs, right? And so it was really fun in the dark, right? Because it's all dark and you're like, poing, poing, you're making these designs. And, but what I remember about Light Bright was the feeling of the black paper is going to run out, right? And as a kid, think I'm like powerless. I can't go buy the black paper. and this whole thing was like, you know, where does the black paper go? Does it mean, and knowing full well that probably my parents aren't the kind of parents that would like figure out how to get more black paper, right? Right? And then so, and then with the Light Bright was this stress of like, at some point the black paper is going to be gone. And then so you start reusing it, right? You're like, okay, well I guess I got to use the old ones and they're all full of holes. So you put them in there and then you try and put 2 or 3 to try and get the holes covered and you're like, right? But right from the very beginning, right? As soon as you got this, it was going to end, right? So as a child, I mean, imagine if how much better it would have been for me if as a child I would have just understood and accepted the fact that there's no way that this black paper is going to last. There's no way. And so like all of life is like that. All of life is like the Light Bright black paper. It's going to run out. Like, and so if we're putting all our happiness, right? If our happiness is dependent upon these Light Bright things, and you know, we're like, what happens when the black papers, there's no more black paper, we've got no happiness, right? So that's the thing, right? We have to figure out how to have happiness without the black paper of the Light Bright.
I thought that what would happen is in the end, all those little things would get sucked up in the vacuum cleaner because every time we vacuum.
Ah.
So what should I have done as to reorient it?
Right. So it wasn't the black paper.
Right.
It was just these pegs are going to run out
As
because
you
you're going to get.
as you're vacuuming, you're going up the hose.
Well, I guess you should have cleaned up. I guess you should have been the kind of kid that cleaned up after yourself.
Thank you, Master.
So what are you asking? Well, how you should?
Well, you were thinking about it running out.
Yeah.
And the impermanence.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that it would be like sucked up the vacuum.
Right. So
like
same idea, right? Same idea basically. Is one day you'd have no pegs, right? And then it doesn't matter. You got all the black paper in the world. You got no pegs. Right. You know. And that's life right there. You know. I mean, that's like, you know, from that moment onward, you know, we're trying to like make the Light Bright work and hope it doesn't end. You know, we buy a car. What did we think, right? What did we think? Like long after I learned about these things, I had a very close friend of mine who was just like trying to buy a car, right? A new car. And I'd already been through all that. I'd already been through like signing my life away and really running through the ringer with a car, right? Like I had, that's so crazy. Credit was really bad, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I went into this dealership, and they saw me coming a mile away. They know about people like me. I go in, and they just they have this way of making you convinced that this car is like the bomb, and not only that, but you could be driving it out tonight, insured with plates on it, right? Like it's all, and and I saw this car, and yeah, and I was all stoked about this car, and I signed on the line, and the payments were this and this and this, and I got home and a week later, I really looked at the documents, and I understood it was $16,000 for this vehicle, and I realized that once I finished paying it off, I was going to be $32,000 once I actually made all the payments, and then I started going, and but I really, really wanted it. I wanted this car so bad, I wanted it so bad. I thought it was gonna solve all of these problems, And it lasted for about a year, and then I started breaking down, and I couldn't afford to fix it. So it just sat in my yard. It sat in my yard, and weird things happened to it. The door was hanging off, and it was maybe $5,000 to fix it and get it all. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and finally I remember I paid it off. I drove it for about a year. It sat in my yard for about 6 years. I paid it off. So I paid $32,000 for this thing. I drove for 1 year, and then I ended up finally having my karma changed. I finally had more money. I thought, well, maybe I can actually make this thing work. So I took it to a place, and he's like, it's going to cost you $6,000 to make this thing even roadworthy. So I went, and I sold it for $300 to a wrecker, right? And that thing that I thought was going to really solve all my problems ended up being the worst thing that ever happened to me. And right, and so years after that, I had this friend come up to me and was saying, "Can you help me get this car?" And she's like, going, please tell me that you don't think that this car is going to do what you think it's going to do for you, right? Gotta get it. And then, so she gets the car, right? She gets the car, and she's like, yeah, my car, and it's got speakers, and the yin yang, and it's got the phone in the car, and yeah. And then a year later, this car is the worst thing that ever happened to me. Don't talk about that car. I don't want to talk about the car, And that was it, right? And that's, we got to be okay with that, right? We got to be okay with that, and so we have to be able to see, if we can see that there's nothing about us that's permanent, then maybe we can actually be hit in the head hard enough to realize that then there's no way that anything else can be permanent. If we are not permanent, then how can anything else be, right? I mean, you could even logically you could say, because I'm not permanent, then definitely nothing else is permanent, because I am not permanent. You could go that way, but yeah. So you gotta embrace that, embrace that things as soon as they start, right? Implicit in the start is the end, and it can last for a nice long time. We can enjoy the heck out of it, but right, yeah.
So, does that mean that diamonds are not forever?
Well, I don't know. I don't. There couldn't be.
They could not.
It couldn't be. It couldn't be forever. Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the end is a negative thing, though.
No, it doesn't mean the end is a negative thing. In fact, if that's where we're going with this, is that the end can be a beautiful thing, but even, right, endings are very important, and they can be a beautiful thing. And sometimes they're very, very necessary, for our health, our mental health, But the mistake we make, though, is clinging to something, right? Not ending, or clinging to something while it's there, thinking that, I hope it lasts, or I want it to last, or my happiness is dependent on this thing, right? No, endings this is one of the great things about these kinds of meditations, is because maybe we'll get the sense that things are always beginning and always ending. Constantly. Like our life, is one, our life is, everything is a metaphor for everything else, Like, you can take anything in a sense and metaphor it into anything. It's beautiful because everything in our life follows this cycle. Our whole life, the whole planet, like the death of the planet. The planet's not going to last forever. The sun's not going to last forever, apparently. Our bodies don't last forever. A day doesn't last forever. An hour doesn't last forever. Like everything in our life is a cycle of beginning and ending. Constantly, right? Constantly. And and we are not what we think we are. We're like a series of moments. Every single moment, we're like somebody completely different. But we don't recognize the subtle change. Anyways, let's meditate. Let's do a little meditation. So this meditation, again, is good to do lying down, or you can do it sitting up. It doesn't matter. Whatever you feel like you're going to be more comfortable doing right now.
How does the lying down one work? I don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it? Well,
I've never done that one.
you haven't done the lying down meditation?
It sounds complicated.
It is complicated. It's
Okay.
very complicated.
I'll just lie down there.
There's a lot of body surface to contact the earth.
Okay.
So what we're going to be trying to do, what we're going to be doing in this meditation, is we're really going to do our best to notice the conceptual image, the conceptual overlay that is present as we're experiencing these sensations, and we're going to really do our best to keep discarding those so that we can just feel, right? And Lord Buddha said, in the felt there is only the felt. In the felt there is only the felt. So we're trying to just feel the tactile sensations, the physical sensation of touch, without the picture on it, and see if we can do that. It's a very powerful experience, and it's very grounding as well and relaxing. So here we go. So typically in a meditation like this, your palms are facing up, if that can be comfortable. And it can be nice to have a bolster underneath your knees. And if anyone at this point who doesn't have a bolster has suddenly changed their mind, you can put your hand up and I will bring a bolster over for you. with your eyes closed, just taking a few moments to let go and pull your attention inward. It's always, maybe I shouldn't say always, but it's almost always a very beneficial move to pull your attentionwards, even as we're going through our daily routines. Having the ability to pull your attention inward is very, it's a very empowering experience, way to go through your day. And it also makes other people be able to experience you more clearly. So we're withdrawing inward into the domain of your body. So you're withdrawing from the sounds of the room into the domain of your body. And begin to give your full attention to the tactile sensations, the feeling of touch. Focusing first on the feeling of solidity and firmness where your body contacts the floor. Letting go into that feeling of where the body contacting the floor, or wherever it may be contacting. One of the benefits of turning your focus there is that what's happening is in the now, is in the present moment. So immediately we can have a place to go that is not the future and is not the past. So if we have a mind that is jumping around about the past or into the future, we can use this kind of focus to pull our mind here and now. You want to be now. Now let your focus roam throughout the body, noticing tactile sensations wherever they make themselves known. The obvious ones, maybe it's an itch somewhere, or a muscle fluttering as it relaxes, or something that's obvious. If you notice any tension or pain, allow your breath to go to it, surround it, and then release that tension on the exhale. So you're giving these tactile sensations your full attention, your bare attention. And take your mind, use this focus with this attention, and notice if you have some kind of conceptual overlay, this mental map of your body, of where these sensations are occurring, like dots on a map or something. And if that kind of mental map is popping up, discard it on the out-breath. Now take your focus to the crown of your head in a spotlight about the size of a quarter, and notice how it feels there. With your mind focused there, can you feel things now that you didn't feel before? Feelings that didn't blatantly announce themselves. Begin to expand the spotlight of your awareness to the entire top of your head, and isolate the area, that ring of light, that ring of focus. And experience only what is felt there. In the felt, there is only the felt. Each time, noticing if you have a mental idea, a mental image, and discard it on the exhale. Now move the spotlight of your awareness down to the right side of your head. And notice with this bare attention what you feel there. And then move it around to the back of the head and notice what you feel there. Like you have this roaming light that's bringing your consciousness to these areas and exploring the feeling. And then bring it around to the left side of your head. How does it feel there? And then move that light of awareness to your face. What sensations are there at the eyebrows, the eyelids? If you notice tension, relax it on the out-breath. Notice how you feel at the nose and the lips and the jaw. So far we have been roaming around the surface. Now let's go further in. So now move the spotlight of awareness from your face to the inside of your head. So let this focus illuminate sensations there inside the head. How does it feel with only your bare attention? Over and over again, exhaling any conceptual overlay that you may notice that pops up, and trying to get just to what you are feeling. Then move your awareness down to your neck. And then over to your left shoulder. And keep this light scan going, gradually moving the spotlight of your awareness down your left arm to your fingertips. Noticing along the way that new sensations are illuminated. From your left fingertips, let this light of awareness jump to your right fingertips like a spark jumping a gap. And as your fingertips alight with awareness and you feel the sensation there, gradually move this light of awareness up the right arm. Until you reach the shoulders. Discovering new feelings, as physical feelings, tactile sensations, as the spotlight of your awareness travels through the arm. Now move the spotlight of your awareness from your right shoulder across the upper chest to the left side. And down the left side to the middle of your chest. And across over to the right side. Down the right side to the right abdomen. And across to the left side of the abdomen. This light of awareness moving, and everywhere the light of your awareness lands, just noticing, staying with how it feels. In the felt, there is only the felt. Exhaling any mental picture. Moving now down to the left hip. Then gradually moving this light of awareness down your left leg, to the feet, to the foot and toes. And then from your left toes, once again, have this light jump across like a spark to the right toes. And then gradually moving that awareness up the right, from the right toes to the right hip, discovering along the way new sensation. So now that we have systematically scanned our entire body, let's move the awareness back to the crown of the head. And for the next half a minute, scan your entire body again. Noticing whether the sensations that you discovered are still there. And now let this spotlight of awareness illuminate your entire body at once. And notice again what feelings, what tactile sensations announce themselves. In the felt, there is only the felt. Each exhale, see if you can discard any conceptual overlay and focus on the feeling alone with your open attention, clear attention. Now expand your awareness again to the room. Wiggle your fingers and toes, beginning to just come more to surface, allowing your mind to fill your reality once again without single-pointedly focusing on your body, just relaxing, returning. And stretch your legs and arms overhead, gently coming back. taking your time to come back to sitting. Would anyone like to share anything, any experience that they may have had with that meditation that jumped out or was profound, or they noticed that they'd like to share, or ask any question that you'd like to? Yulia.
It's probably a question, observation. So, well, we have to follow your instructions. So you say left hand, you kind of.
Yeah.
So I notice my eyes go that way. Right? I don't know if you guys have the same thing. I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And then left leg, then you kind of try to look. If you were trying to look down and see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you try to discard the conceptual overlay, then I kind of come back here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where it's supposed to be, or is it supposed to be awareness? I wonder.
Do you mean when you say where it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I'm just curious what other people experience. Yeah, when you have like, okay, this is my hand, I located it, now let's just have no hand and just experience the sensations.
Uh-huh.
When I discard that, then I kind of come back to center.
Right. I see what you mean. Right. So
But
you
it's
kind of
not-
return to the center
Yeah.
point. Right.
So, but it's not center, it's still very much in my head.
Right. So yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. So we're supposed to try and stay at the hand. Right? So the idea is, because to try and stay with the feeling of what it's like to have the weight of the hand or anything around the hand, and notice it without all your ideas about your hand and countless, right? Mental things we can have about our physical body. I mean, they're so loaded, right? Our physical bodies, we have so much stuff about our bodies. And so it's like you got your hand there and you're feeling the weight of it against, say, your leg, and you have this light there, and what you'll notice is your energy will go where your focus is, right? And so usually you will feel more sensation because you're directing your attention there, right? And energy, prana or whatever, moves and begins to coalesce around that area, right? So then you have your focus there, and then you notice that there's a picture, right? And yeah, your eyes kind of go, ding, right? You're looking at that as if your eyes were open and you're looking at your hand, right? Sort of. And then you notice how that takes away from the raw feeling. And you're like, okay. And then as you exhale, see, I don't find the exhale as helpful as I do as using the inhale and the exhale. So I will inhale the mental picture away from it, and then exhale it out, and then I'm back to just a raw feeling, right? And then you go, okay, there's a sensation, and then your idea of what your arm is or your hand is may change. All of a sudden it may look like, okay, in your mind you've got this concept of just a beam or an L-shaped thing that is made of something, and you feel it and you're like, okay. And then you like take that away and boom, get rid of that, and what does it feel like, right? And you're, all right, what is it? And you're just, and interestingly enough, you can like wake right up. Like the sensations can brighten up, and you can feel like you've never felt before because you've made room for it, right? You've made room for, yeah.
That was my question. I was thinking about, like, when we're localizing our awareness to certain parts, especially in my head.
Yeah.
When it goes from side to side, I feel it as a warmth.
Yeah.
Right. But is that feeling? Is that something that you discard, or is that
No.
Because it's not a mental image. It's
No.
a feeling of warmth.
You stay with the
Right.
warmth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
'Cause
not
it's a
something I need to try and
No,
discard.
what your nose, when you get really good at it, you'll notice, okay, warmth, and then there may be a mental picture about warmth, or there might not be, right? And you're just experiencing warmth, and that's good, and that's perfect. You don't, yeah. Anne Marie.
I was just going to say, with what you were saying, Yulia, I noticed that if we're talking about the hand, I felt like I was in my hand, like all of me had gone into my hand, and that's where I was. And I actually, once we got kind of halfway through, I noticed that my head was kind of moving. And like when we were going down the left side, my head was kind of slowly going down the left side, and then the right, my head was going
Just
to the
tilting,
right.
yeah.
So I just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it did, when we'd done one round and we came back to the centre and then we centred again, that's when I felt this kind of like, whew, like a lot of energy all building up, like a lot of heat, just like exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like unobstructed or something. Right?
Yeah.
Unobstructed
yeah, like
by.
you say, there was more
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's wonderful, like, because if we can do those kinds of meditations enough, we can develop a sense of what it feels like inside, in a sense, right? And so that we can rest there. Like, let's just say we're all sitting together in this room, right? And looking at each other, right? I'm looking at each person. So as you look back at me, what happens if, as you're actually looking at me or into my eyes or whatever, what happens if you can, at the same time, can you pull back and try and reside? Can you pull back and look at me like from a deep, like a place that feels like your center, so that you're not coming out to me with your sight, but more like there's some light inside of you that's like lighting me, or that's seeing me, but you don't move from this place. It feels different, right? Some people find that very stressful. Some people find that very relaxing. But if it's an unknown place to you, right? If your sort of central location, quote unquote, central location in a sense, is unknown to you, it will be very hard for us to like walk through the world and be in that place. And it's much easier to be neutral, right? It's much easier to have a neutrality about situations that you can decide for yourself how you're kind of feeling about it, that's not being like, I don't know, dictated by your outside world, because you've developed this sense of inside. And for some people, what will help, like say, if it's difficult to think of your center, most of us live so much in the forward, right? Like we're like kids on the bus, right, with their face up against the glass, right? We're like at life like that, right? And so what can be helpful is not so much think about looking from your center, but actually going back. Some people need to go back to even be in their center. So you feel like, okay, I'm gonna like sit back and think of my spine or something. I'm gonna think of my spine as we look at each other. Right? So try that. So try thinking of your spine as you like take in the other person. It's more intimate. It can be more intimate. Because everyone's going to experience it differently, but you're giving yourself more to the person, right? Instead of like jumping out and instead of like jumping out and being, I don't know, afraid, you know, all our stuff, right? All our low self-esteem and nervousness and, you know, what if they don't like me's, right? All those things, right? Instead of dancing around in that, we just like let it be and meet this person, meet your person. And just however you are, right? However you are. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful when you give someone who you are. Like when you can get back, however you're feeling, but it's authentic, right? That I think was one of the most profound things for me when I began meditating and meditated for a while and then got some time logged in, right? You have to log time in. For this kind of practice to work out for you, it can't be just coming to class. It has to be. You have to do it at home, or it won't take hold. It won't take root. It won't change your life. You know, it will just end up being this thing where you feel like you're doing something, and so you feel good about yourself for a minute because you feel like you're doing something, instead of actually putting it to practice, right? And that will force us. It forces us into going through stuff. We'll go through mental stuff. We'll go through because it will push stuff up out of ourselves that we've been trying to avoid, right? What do you think we're doing when we're with someone and we're not like giving them ourselves, or we can't stay within ourselves? We're afraid of something in us, right? And when we begin to do these kinds of meditations and find things relax into ourselves, whatever's there is there, and we have to go through it and experience it. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's life. That's what life is. That's what life is. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're experiencing pain in your body somewhere,
Yeah.
can you use that as an opportunity to further this rather than like
Oh,
an
yeah.
excuse to like?
It's a great pain, like itching is a good one. Pain is another one where, in a way, it's almost fortunate. You would say fortunate, but you have something that's calling you, right? That's you cannot deny. And then so you can go to that sensation and use it just like we just did. We go, okay, you know, what is this feeling? This thing I'm calling pain. What is this exactly? And then you notice all the mental overlay, the conceptual overlay, the pictures that you have that are associated with that, just the feeling of something painful. And I'll share a personal experience. One night, not that long ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with a toothache. Okay, and I thought, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna go for the Advil right now. Right? I'm just gonna like try and see if I can be just present with this sensation, right? So it's a toothache, a throbbing thing going on, right? And so I'm laying down, and it's about like 2 a.m, you know, and I'm like, okay. First of all, it's like, am I gonna get to sleep? I gotta sleep. Am I gonna get to sleep? That's the first thing, right? Okay, get rid of that. That's not helping, right? And then I go, okay, what is this feeling? What is this feeling? Well, it's hot. Okay, there's heat there. It's hot. Why don't I like it? Right? Why don't I like it? I'm calling this thing bad. Oh, I'll get a toothache. Bad. Okay. All right. Throw that out if I can. Right? Throw that out. Okay. I'm just feeling. And what happened is it became very intense, and the focus became narrow, and then so soon, just like, okay, did you notice I said in the class, I said, you know, withdraw your mind from the sounds in the room, and right away you hear the sounds. All right? Or you probably already had withdrawn, right? We don't know when we've withdrawn from the sounds in the room. We only know that we haven't when we hear, right? You don't know. Like it's like when you get into deep states of meditation, you will experience your breath will stop. It will stop. But as soon as you notice that it stopped, it's going again. You don't really notice your breath has stopped when your breath has stopped, because you've left your breath behind. Although you can reach a state and be completely cognizant and just be not breathing. You can for long periods of time. So, in the same way, you're taking your whole bare attention onto this sensation, and I felt like it was to my left, you know, but soon I forgot about the room. I forgot the body wasn't there anymore, and it was simply this sensation, and then it became like a blue light. It became a blue light, and then I was inside the blue light, and I'd taken all concept away from. It wasn't a toothache anymore. It was simply the experience of a intense blue light, and then this blue light was like soaring across the sky, and it turned into a very pleasant, blissful sensation, right? And I changed the entire experience of that by not Advil, right? And then hoping, right? I used that experience, and it takes a little bit of willpower to do that, and the willingness to, because it's there. It's there. It's a changing thing. It will go. It won't last forever, but it's there. So you can use it and have a very profound experience, and then, which will affect your life later. You'll be like, okay, you know.
So with feelings and thoughts, same thing, right? Just notice it, let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, which is different than warmth, right? A feeling or an emotion. Emotion, right. You try to let the emotion go and go right to just what you're feeling. And it's very illuminating. It's very illuminating because it's happening all the time. As we go through our life, this is always happening. We're always feeling but not noticing. Because our mental picture overlay is so rampant, right? We're mistaking kind of like reality as it is for our mental overlay, right? So we're going to go into another meditation, and this time it's going to be a little different. We're going to try, it's going to be similar, but we're going to investigate the elements. They say like earth, air, water, and fire, right? And space is also one, but in the same way, we're going to try and locate, okay, how does this feel like firmness? How does this feel like heat? How does this feel like movement? How does this feel like liquid? And in the same way, we're going to try and pull away our mental concept on top of what we're experiencing as earth, right? And then we're going to ask ourselves a certain question. And for this, in this time, I think maybe we'll ask ourselves three. It depends. We'll see, but we'll talk about it after we're done. But see, this is the idea about this kind of thing. Is in this class we can only do one, right? Where at home, you could take it and then you could run through these questions that you ask yourself, and you can discover different things like during the week, on a daily basis. Because we can only do one tonight in this way, and so. Let's go right back into meditation. Yeah, and in this one, you can, again, you can either lay in Shavasana or you can sit. Either one that calls you right now. So this marks a new theme. With the same, there's kind of a new theme, but also the same theme. The same thing being we're trying to pull away conceptual overlay, but a new theme as far as what we're looking for. So in the entire realm of our human experience, we've got, and this isn't like the scientific molecular I don't know, theory or explanation of these kinds of things. It's more of you've got earth, air, water, fire, and everything that we're experiencing, everything we're looking at is, they say, made of these four elements, these four parts, you could say. And some have more of one and less of another. So a wall, for instance, would have more earth element, more solidity, right? So we're going to go through our body again, And we're going to go through each element, and we're going to ask ourselves, is the feeling that we're experiencing permanent or impermanent? So once again, withdrawing your attention, turning inward. Focusing on the domain of your body, and focusing there only on the tactile sensations. And once again, you're using the physical sensations to keep your mind very rooted in this moment. And we're staying in this single domain, the sense of touch. Feeling the sense of touch. So noticing, first of all, the feeling of solidity and firmness, where your body is contacting either the floor or the seat. Even the feeling of your hands on your lap or your hands on the earth. So we are searching for this earth element, solidity and firmness. Solidity and firmness. It's a great place to start with the earth element, solidity and firmness. It's very grounding. Very calming, very grounding. And as you explore the feeling of where you meet solidity, really try to distinguish within this experience, is this a feeling of the sense of touch? Or am I navigating with a mental image of my body? It can really feel like you're letting go of something. It can, sometimes it may be difficult to pull away the mental image because we know them so well. We've lived them for so long that it can feel really like you're pulling something away. So just try and relax and let whatever arises be there. So having, with my words, been directed to this area of sensation, this earth element, solid, firm. Throw that out on the exhale and just give it your full bare attention. In the felt, there is only the felt. And we ask ourselves a question about this sensation, these sensations, this earth element. Is this sensation of firmness and solidity solid throughout? How firm and substantial is this earth element? Is this sensation static? Is it a non-changing thing? Or does it actually seem to be changing from moment to moment? We are examining this experience. Is it changing or unchanging? Is it permanent or impermanent? How quickly does it change? Now we move from the sensation of earth element, and within the domain of our body, we now begin to focus on any sensation of the water element, feelings of moisture. The feeling, the tactile experience of moisture. Let go of the words and give your bare attention to any sensation of moisture. And then ask yourself, what is the nature of this sensation of moisture? How long does that sensation last? Does a sensation seem to arise, be present for some time, and then dissolve? Can you find a sensation of moisture that is the same from moment to moment? Is it permanent? Is it impermanent? And now we move from water to fire. Directing your attention now to the feeling of the fire element, which is the entire gradient from heat to cold. So taking your focus and placing it on sensations of heat or coolness, anything in between. always the default response. If you notice there's a picture of building, toss it out on the exhale and just come back to the experience, the feeling. Asking those questions again. How long does that sensation last? Does the intensity remain constant, or does it fluctuate? Does it change when I examine it? Are heat and cold two separate sensations? Or does it seem to be a gradient of one sensation, more or less of heat? And is it changing? Is it permanent? Is it impermanent? Or is it permanent? And now we move to the element of air. So this includes coarse sensations of movement like the breath as it enters and leaves your body. And also subtle sensations like the feeling of the blood circulating through your eyelid, or tingling sensation, vibrations, itches. All of these are manifestations of the air element. With bare attention, examine one of these feelings and ask yourself the question, how long does this sensation last? Throwing out any mental overlay, any picture. Can you, with a still mind, watch it as it arises, is present for some time, and then seems of its own to dissolve again? Is action required? Do you have to take some action to end some of these sensations? Do you will them to end? Or does it seem to be part of the nature of what is present? It stays for some time and dissolves on its own. Within the space of your body, can you directly perceive a tactile sensation that is other than these feelings of solidity, firmness, or moisture, heat or cold, or movement? Is there some other sensation? And how well does this experience correspond to your conceptual image of your body? Which one seems more real? beginning to bring your mind back into the room. Wiggling the fingers and toes if you're lying down. You have the sensation of your light being less inward and then just brightening up, so that when you open your eyes, it's like you're illuminating the space around you with your eyes from within. Not that you're taking in the space, but then you open in that way. And then when you open in that way, maybe you will stay centered and grounded, present. Stretching and anything you need to do to slowly and gently surface back to sitting. It's 9 o'clock, in case you need to.
Thank you.
We're not going to go for much longer.
Like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Yeah.
I'll see.
Any observations anybody want to share or speak about right now? After that. Nice, huh? Nice to do those kinds of meditations. Like, do you feel like I don't know? Do you feel nourished in some way? Do you feel like, I don't know, maybe some peace or some stillness has been inserted, right? Something like that.
Yes,
Right.
I felt really peaceful.
Yeah, we need it, right? We need, it's food. This is food that we need. If we, are to achieve any kind of balanced happiness that can remain in a steady way, we need to withdraw, and we need to internally investigate so that we can walk in the world without just being pulled all over the place, right? Because by everything that we see, we have to gain this sense of this grounding. This is a beautiful beginning. It's a beautiful beginning to a series of meditations that we'll be doing. And it's a beautiful beginning in many ways, in the sense that it begins to give us a sense of an anchor, of a grounding. Because what we will be attempting to do is tear apart our entire reality, but still remain, right, open and get a sense of wonderful freedom and potential and possibility out of that, and blow apart our constrictions, which are mental, right? Yeah, they're mental. Our constrictions are mental, right? So, yeah.
The next, is it always going to be lying down?
No.
This meditation, or is in the next 3 weeks
We'll be sitting more.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think what I'll do is, again, I can email out the meditation, and what I will do with this one, though, is I will add a few instructions that so that you can not just stay with the earth element. Not just stay with the question of, is it impermanent? We can then add, because there's the 3 questions, right? Is it impermanent? Is it happiness or dissatisfaction, or is it a self? Is it self-required? Does this prove a self, or something like that? And so then you can take it home, and then I'll try and make it clear enough so that you can play around with it. And when we return, we'll do more of that kind of thing, and it will build upon each other. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't, if I don't have, is there anybody's email address that I don't have? Okay, maybe you can.
That's right. So,
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.